Hey, it's me. You already know me by now. Why do I keep introducing myself every episode? We're 40 episodes in. You know, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That all makes sense. Episode 40. Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Hey, welcome back. We're on episode 40. It's Lions. Let's get on with it. We're at the end of the season. We're still trying to figure out whether we actually do finally make Continental Pro, but it's looking pretty damn good. But September just started. I've literally gone forward one day from where we ended the last episode, and Mankeys, who we just managed to get a chance to command for the first time in the World Championships for South Africa, the only African nation that has an invite to that, even though Eritrea is way above them in the rankings. But for South Africa, Mankeys, we squeezed out that top 10 of the World Championships. It was awesome. It was great. And he turns around about a week later, riding at La Vuelta, and has won a stage. He has boosted the popularity of South Africa from a 5 now to a 6. Finally, we're starting to see some progress in South Africa. I almost feel like I had a hand in this. I gave him some morale boost that has turned into a stage win. So sure, we played a part in this one, sort of. Feeling a little bit better about that re-signing of Bitsimana, as just a couple days later, he has leveled up, now reaching 4 stars from the 3.5. You can see he's got a decent hills rating now. Definitely his core is as a puncher. And of course, he is one of a couple riders on our team that just absolutely ignores his training style. What is he training as? A stage racer. Where is he getting his points? Hills. We've got a couple guys that are doing that. Hasn't even been a week. I can't seem to get more than 1 or 2 days without something happening. Here is the latest. We are down to just 4.5 star talents. That's it. The market is drying up real fast. But our threat, our danger, continually is increasing instead of the comfort, the relaxation of knowing that we are safe. We have progressed mightily into a range well beyond where we were even just 1 year ago, and yet here we are in a really dangerous place. We've dropped 2 more spots in the index. Pretty sure that Israel Premier Tech and MTK are the 2, unless it was Glass Drive was one of the 2 that was behind us, that have now bumped ahead. So here we are, now just 2 spots above the bubble. It's getting tight. Now the gap to those 2, it's pretty tight. They're close behind. But the gap does start to increase a bit after that. Team Austria car, not too far off. They're more than a 1/4 star behind us. Tartaletto, barely exceeding that 3. Definitely a bit further behind. And whatever that is, Bici Tremi? I don't know. They are just that sliver over 3, which means we have a pretty healthy cushion. I mean, we got a good 1/2 star, or nearly a 1/2 star on them, at least 4/10. So it is looking still likely that we're going to be safe as that list thins out, right? As we're down to just 4 riders who can really impact anyone. Who do we expect those 4 riders to go to? Do we literally expect these 2 or these 2 to do those signings? Those 4? Each to pick up one of them, and all 4 of them pick up a boost, and at least 3 of them get ahead of us? It's highly unlikely, but there's still that chance of that internal development, and that can always account for 1 to 2 spots. So we're still on the edge, which is just shocking with how much we have improved from a year ago, what the cutoff was a year ago, what the cutoff was the year before. This database just keeps growing. Now, that's a constant theme of the game. It gets tougher every single year, but the rate is just absurd. I mean, this is just to make Continental Pro. We are at 3.5 stars, when you start the game, that's the bubble for World Tour. We're struggling to make Continental Pro for 2028. We're not talking about, some mysterious future 30 years away or something. We're talking half a decade goes by and we are already struggling to make what would have been enough for World Tour at the start of the game. It's just rough going. While we're not officially in the clear yet, finally, I've managed to proceed 2 weeks, and we're down to 2 4.5-star talents left in the pool. We're still 34th, though the picture has changed. Israel Premier Tech has moved up a spot. We are in the same spot, but behind us, the picture has changed as Kolpak Ballon has moved up quite a bit from wherever they were. Human Powered Health has moved down. The gaps behind have tightened. We are still at that, exact spot that we were, but this Kolpak Ballon is squeezed in out of nowhere. They weren't even 3 stars, so clearly they signed one of them, if not 2 of those that were remaining. Still behind us, though. That's important. That has changed, that bubble has certainly gotten closer. We are barely above the bubble now, and we're talking about a good 3 squads that are down in Continental that are better than anything that was, they were good enough to make Continental a year ago. All of them. Transfer market has finally closed. We are 1 spot above the bubble. We should have the announcement tomorrow of the divisions for next year. Biggest move of the transfer market was Vanderpool to Intermarché, Van Aert to Telephone, and Van Barle to Radio Popular. Gramai comes in on that list. Wow, that makes him so good, right? Moving from UAE to DSM. Oh, what a relief. We are going to be in Continental Pro. We have done it. We have done it. We are officially into Continental Pro for next season. Massive weight off the shoulders on that one. And we did it by the skin of our teeth. We only moved up 2 spots in the rankings by adding nearly half a star. Just insane how rapidly it's progressing. It progresses. I got it. I'm used to that. It's progressing too fast. And for us, because of the limited pool that we're working with and the fact that we can't get into Continental Pro to get the proper races, to get the nations to improve, to get the better riders, has been problematic already for quite some time. And now that problem is going to persist. We finally do have Continental Pro for the schedule, but can we even retain Continental Pro in the coming year? Every year, I feel like we're going to be on the chopping block until we really start to see the nations progress. And then that doesn't become an instant thing. Okay, fine. South Africa has 1 more point for the coming year. Their popularity went up this much, but the training structure isn't. So the quality isn't going to continue to improve. But with a Continental Pro schedule, that is finally an opportunity. We have to have a big season in the coming year. And we are right down at the bottom of that Continental Pro list. We are going to be taking the next season much slower. Much slower. And I'm going to be laying out some objectives. Not just the sponsor objectives, but I'm going to be laying out some objectives for the coming season by looking at some rider profiles and going, this guy, and this guy, and this guy are going to be key guys for the coming season that need to score points, that need to be leaders in key races so that we can get the training structure to improve. The only downside to that one is that this database is just going to keep getting deeper, and as we go forward, if we drop back down out of Continental Pro because the database outpaces us and our growth of a continent, we could be back down in Continental, and we could not be getting those bonuses in the near future. And any riders that we do get from an improved training structure for a nation, those riders that we pick up, there's no guarantees that they're going to just instantly come in. You're going to have a 16 or 17-year-old coming into the database. It could be a few years before I get them into our squad. And then it could be 3 years before they develop. It could be 5 years before we see the benefit of an improved training structure for a nation. And what to make of it if it's only 1 point, right? Dragons was something that we managed to just rapidly, right from the beginning, find some improvement and get it going. This Africa one, it's just not happened. We've had enough points for it to happen multiple times. We're not getting that January 1st tick. This has been a good season. Let's check in on how good this season was. Godou is on top of the individual rankings. Pogacar at Ineos is second. Vingegaard, Van Aert, Evenepoel, the guys that were all at Jumbo-Visma, dropped to 3rd, 4th, 5th. Vlasov, Van der Poel, Girmay is 8th. He has enough points. That is enough. He is in the top 10 of the rankings for Eritrea to see a boost to their training structure. 2 of the last 3 years, he's easily had enough points. Probably all 3 years he's had enough points, but the last 2 years running, there's been no boost to the training structure. I don't know the system in and out. The developers are always very coy. They do not tell you details. We as a community have to figure it out. We as contributors on various sites that talk about the game and the sport contribute to the knowledge. I've run plenty of tests to contribute to that knowledge. Others have run tests to contribute to that knowledge. My understanding, based on my information gathered, their information gathered, is that it's not a guarantee. There is no guarantee. You get enough points, you have a chance to improve the training structure. And then random dice roll January 1st, either it happened or it doesn't. I hope that it does happen heading into January 1st, and that we can come into this next calendar year as a Continental Pro team with a much improved schedule. Bigger races, bigger points. Even if we don't perform as well, even if we don't win as often and boost the popularity piece, the improved points could and should put us in a position to trigger that training boost for potentially a number of nations. But we need our best South African, we need our best Eritrean rider, and focus on them because it's based off of the individual, not the nation ranking. That one is certain. So individual performance on that part, not cumulative. Those two are obvious. But Rwanda, what other nation might I find somebody? What key riders will I have for the coming season that I'm going, that's our guy. That's the one that's going to see us earn enough points over the course of the season to unlock that possibility of a training boost. And the smaller the level is for the nation, the less it's going to take to see a boost to that nation. So it's not necessarily our 2 best riders that would be going after our 3 or 4 best riders. It could be somebody a little further down that list, but they've got to be good enough to earn some points. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting season. I think it's going to be a really, really important season for us. For more than one reason, also. If we do happen to stay in Continental Pro, if we make the cut to stay, to remain, what we're going to need going forward long term to really ensure that that goal is achieved is we're going to have to be in the top 2 or 3 in the Continental Pro rankings at the end of the year. I'm curious to see where we were this season comparatively, because I've always been comparing to Continental of late, and we're always top 2 there in terms of scoring points. Now that we're Continental Pro, we've got to get to the top of the Continental Pro standings, because the top 2 or 3 nations end up getting whatever invites they want at World Tour level, either stage races or for the classics or for both. And so if we can unlock that possibility, we're going to start getting those World Tour races. And even if we don't perform terribly well there, again, the point scale goes up in such a way that, oh darn, we're not winning, but if we can get top 10s repeatedly, we're going to amass a lot more points. And that, in turn, keeps you in that place. And those races are the ones where if you do squeak out a win, those are automatic points haulers outside of the nations that already have a high number for popularity. That's the key. That's the key to making this work. And we have unlocked that key, but it's fragile at the moment. It's really fragile. We could break that key and go right back down. Final rankings, 28th, 3,305 points. That is an 800 point increase from what we had a year ago. So it does show the continued growth, how the team is getting stronger and stronger and stronger as we go forward. It's already changed the divisions at this point. So it's a little hard to know who was Continental or who was Continental Pro a year ago. Cofidis was way down in 19th. They struggled. Astana, probably, right? Astana's down to Continental Pro. They were 14th. But I'd place us about 12th of the Continental Pro teams for the coming season in terms of the rankings over the past year. So that's already not bad. And we know that we're going to be in those higher profile races. We'll have a lot more points available to us. I know that this score is going to go up a lot. I would guarantee that we're going to be over 4,000 for the coming year. Will we get over 5,000? Is it going to be that much of a jump? And is 5,000 enough to get top 3? Probably not. It's going to take a bit more than that. It looks like it's going to be 6,000 plus to get in that range. We're going to have to double our score. But again, the possibilities are going to be much higher, and I'm going to take a much bigger role in the coming season. So it's possible that we could crack that top 6,000 mark in the coming year. But let's go ahead and look how we did with Africa and our nations over the course of this last season. Again, we are still the only team in Africa. No new sponsorships have brought a team to Africa over the last year. Eritrea, highest ranked nation, but South Africa was not far behind. Gurmai is leaps and bounds better than any other African in the database right now. He alone scored better than 3/5, almost 2/3 of the points from Eritrea. And I've got some good ones. I've got some decent Eritrean riders, and I scored some points for them. I had all the best next ones. Actually, Tesfazian is the next best, so we didn't even exceed his score. Molebron was our top guy. Hanok coming up. But for South Africa, we account for a lot of their points, but still not even. I mean, we're still only third in South Africa with Samuels, with the Bod, Mankies at the highest. But so much of that, Samuels is a better rider than Dabod for sure. Similar to Mankies, though we just can't afford those guys. It's not that they are so much better. It's that they race in teams that are at that highest level, and the races have better outcomes, even if they're not getting the results. Samuel's got more results than, probably not Gurmai. Makis does win a Vuelta stage. That's got value right there. That's definitely got some value. He's winning more often. He's placing high more often. It's just that level, and that's why next year is going to be so key. We are bumping up a level. It's still not World Tour, and we are almost certainly only going to have maybe 3 or 4 World Tour invites total. You've got to be Continental Pro to have one. We are now Continental Pro. We're not going to get accepted to anything beyond what the sponsors were able to secure for us at the start of the season. So it's going to be a very, very short list of World Tour possibilities for us. But it's all those Continental Pro races, plus those few World Tour ones, that is going to open up that new realm for us. We get a handful of Continental Pro races over the last few years, but now we're going to have the entire list. So that is where that big expansion happens. But we're only bumping into that second tier. We have to perform to get further invites. We're not going to get anywhere near World Tour in terms of quality anytime soon. Like I said, I think right now we are more of a threat to go back down to Continental, to get relegated, to not be able to keep up with the database growth, because our nations just aren't producing the riders that are good enough to get us there. They are plenty good enough. Like I said, they were good enough to get us to World Tour in the first year. And in just that handful of years, we've seen the database just grow. So that cutoff point, that bubble, just keeps rising. And I'm not sure how fast we can rise. We are very limited on how fast we can rise, on what the potential is on a yearly basis to find more. Because the guys that we now have at the top, they're not too far off from their maximum potential. There are others that have a good maximum potential, but just how high is it? Can we maintain Continental Pro until we can build the database up? That I'm not convinced of right now. Rwanda, way down at 1,000 points, and that's mostly all from us, other than Araroya, who was, of course, with us, but we've now managed to get him all the way up to Trek. So Tesfazian and Araroya are both riding for Trek. Once you get past those few big names at the top in Africa, it very much becomes littered with our team. Nambaho, who's just left our team, scored those points with our team. And there's almost no points. I mean, Jamal was with our team. We're talking about a couple of points. That's it. And then it's those few guys that we just can't sign. Regriwi's 37. Araroya was with our team, 31. We let him go. Tesfazian. Did we let Tesfazian go? Did we have him for a time? Either way, those guys are both with Trek now and scoring points, not because they have quality, but because they're in the races and they have a little bit of quality. And then there's that top three that we just can't quite reach. Well, Germay, he's making more than our entire team combined, and he's making more than our entire team combined times 2, something like that. It's quite extensive how much he's making versus what our guys are. Makis, the Bod aren't as far out of reach, but they are, 30 and 35 and not really much better than what we have. They're similar to our top end, but they're at a price range and at an age that aren't going to do us a whole lot of good long term. Okay, sorry, I'm starting to ramble here a lot. I think I might be diverting off topic a little bit. It was a good season, and we have finally made Continental Pro, and I couldn't be happier. But I'm still nervous about the future. I'm still nervous about maintaining. I'm still nervous about whether our guys can grow, can keep up, and whether we're going to get a boost on January 1st. But with that, we've got a huge season coming ahead of us, a really, really important season coming. We're going to have a lot more episodes this season as we push forward and try to secure the points to grow the database. And has Germay done enough to see something happen for this year? Have we gotten enough out of Rwanda? I don't think 300 points is going to be enough. I don't think Araroya has secured enough points to see any sort of boost. South Africa, Eritrea are a little bit higher already. Rwanda has the popularity, but not the training structure. Rigwigwi, 200 points I don't think is enough. 86 for Kareem for Morocco, probably not enough. With 60 points for Namibia, is that enough? That's a 1-1 nation, and we did score points for them. Maybe. That's a possibility that 60 points is enough. for a 1-1 nation to reach it too. It could happen. I don't know if it's enough. Is 100 enough? Is 200 enough? What's the cutoff? I wish I knew. I really, really wish that I had a table with that information. It would be so helpful to what we're doing here. But either way, that is going to do it for this episode, this season. We've reached the what's medium? What's a good word? It's not the big time. That's World Tour. We're not the little minnows anymore. We've reached toddler stage. We're toddlers now. There you go. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.